that stuff that you sent. It was my mistake.
Okay, good.
The first mailing would have worked. It's just the way it doesn't show on the screen. So I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Appreciate Tara. She sent it to me.
Okay, and it's 6:30, and I'd like to officially start this if we're okay.
You're already being recorded.
Okay. Look at the agenda. The new letterhead. We call it to order. We would start with approving the minutes from January. So do I have a motion?
I will. Joanne will. Nice job. There was a lot to read this time.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Do we have any discussion on these? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
We gotta do something. All opposed? All right. Minutes pass.
Oh, here comes Santos.
Okay, we'll give him a second. Hi,
You in, Brian?
Good
There
evening.
you are.
Good evening.
Okay, all you missed is the approval of the minutes, so we're good so far.
Okay, approved.
Okay. On to reports. Joe, treasurer.
Okay, doke. According to my records, it looks like we still have $21,160.77 remaining in our budget.
Okay. Yeah, and as for me, I can just tell you, it's been busy with, among other things, Tara and I were working on our budget, which we brought before the board yesterday. We're all looking at the 11th Village vendor agreement, and I've updated our letterhead so that I can start communicating. I've also gotten back into the Thompson email, which I haven't been able to use for about 6 months. So we can be more official when talking to people outside of our group anyway. So that's it. Update on businesses. Did everybody get the
Yep.
emailing? Okay. Yeah, we had talked a couple of months ago about Quest Martial Art. We ended up in our mailbox. But it seems like a couple of months. It just got filed on January 19th.
So he moved
Then
out
we
of
have
railroad.
Really? He
Huh?
only filed that. He only filed that on January 19th. It seems like they've been in that space forever.
It seems like we talked about it a long time ago. But yeah, according to paper, it's 2021. It's the first one of this year. And we have strange visual communications. Not strange as in odd. It's strange because it's her name.
I saw that.
That's graphic design, and we have Wilsonville Herb Farm and Simply Soaps. So I sent the synopsis to Ashley too, so she can get it into the minutes. Anything else on businesses, guys?
I don't think so.
There's nothing pressing on it, but somebody put in an application to build a facility that'll be a daycare center on Route 193 at the junction of Robbins Road. And right now that's just trees and field. It's between Robbins Road and the interstate. But they will be building, they were approved by wetlands, so they'll be building as soon as they can get around to it now.
Seems like we have a lot of daycare action going on here.
Yeah,
Well, child care is always a thing that people need.
Especially when you have a bedroom community situation.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
make it. It's,
Related to businesses in town, somebody posted, I want to say I saw it posted on Facebook, it's going to be some kind of ribbon cutting for the restaurant, the bar and restaurant that's taking over the old KFC building, I believe this coming Saturday.
really? I didn't see that
Yep.
posted.
Let me see if I can find it quickly. I'm pretty sure I know where I saw it, and I will confirm that. Talk amongst yourselves in the meantime.
I saw last month the old Mechanicsville School is for sale again.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
that's
think
been on the market for months.
Yeah, I mentioned that
Yeah.
last meeting because it's
I
listed
had
as
on my agenda for December, but we didn't have a meeting in December.
Can anybody hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
You can? Okay. I wasn't sure if my volume was up. Yeah, we talked about this last month.
Oh, did we? Okay. I didn't remember because I had it on the agenda in December and didn't know if I brought it up in January.
So here is, I did find it online. It was posted on one of the community pages, Thompson Proud. I don't know who maintains that, but it was a copy over from the Northeast Connecticut Chamber of Commerce. Join us for a ribbon cutting to celebrate the opening of Drafters Sports Cafe and Event Hall on Saturday, February 20th, 2021 at 12 noon, located at 1017 Riverside Drive, North Grosvenordale. Crystal Kistner appears to be the name of the owner. Oh, you handled that sale, didn't you, Joanne?
Well, I showed it to the potential buyers for someone else in my office. No, so I wasn't directly involved, but I knew the moment that we looked at it that they wanted to buy it. So there was a couple people interested in that. There might have been a couple of offers, believe it or not, on that property right away.
Well, it's well positioned. I mean, you know, the fact that it had become so run down, notwithstanding, somebody with deep enough pockets and, you know, a plan could certainly turn that into something, and apparently is going to.
Definitely. I mean, the basement needed work, you know, the back rooms and the kitchens, but the bar itself, the basement bar was fine. The upstairs auditorium was fine. I mean, that used to be the basketball court for Turtelot, believe it or not, way back in the, I don't know, 50s, 60s maybe.
Yeah. Oh, well. All right. Well, moving on. Citizens' comments pertaining to agenda items. Okay. Old business. I left on here EDC membership and alternates. Still don't have any alternates to propose, but at least we have a full slate. For now, is anybody else
I am trying to talk Ann Montero into coming on with us. She's recently moved to Thompson and is in the process of relocating her business, which was the corner of that, you know, that building that the stomping ground is in, Flying Carpet Studios. She had that big corner space. So she's left that and is, you know, doing whatever logistics she needs to reopen somewhere here in town. And we roped her in a little bit to get on the planning group for the Maker Fairs. So I hope to rope her in further because she'd be a great addition, I think, to EDC. I'm fascinated by the hand motions you're making up there, Brian Lafredo.
Oh, he's finally moving.
My daughter's asking questions about the meeting because she's sitting next to me, so I'm certainly encouraging her being curious.
Tell her to dial her butt in. She's got her own phone.
She can be what do you call it?
An alternate. We can make her an alternate.
Yeah.
We can make her an alternate right now.
Now, just
right now.
We don't have to sign her up before she actually listens in.
She said funny and not in a good sense.
Okay, good talking to you. All right, moving on. Start with the EDC budget. We talked about this last month, and what we came up with, the total 33,427 is what we presented to the board yesterday. So far, nothing has changed, right? Tara, when would they propose any cuts?
Well, so this is only my second year doing this, obviously. And Amy's coming in right now, so you can ask her directly. But as I recall, we made our presentation to the selectmen, and then a few weeks later we went in and talked to Board of Finance. The Board of Selectmen had already proposed their cuts to the Board of Finance by that time, and then it was negotiating with the Board of Finance after that.
Okay.
So I presume that
I don't
will be
remember
the same model this time.
Okay. Hi, Amy. We were just talking about, well, if you can hear me, we were just talking about the budget. I was just telling the group that Tara and I met with you yesterday and proposed the budget that we had talked about last month at the meeting.
Right, and I kind of caught the tail end of things, and the plan is this year, if we're to revisit certain budgets, we will give the commissions and the boards notification that we'll be revisiting their budgets prior to going to Board of Finance. Is that what you were talking about when I came in? Yeah. We want to make it fair for you to be able to come back and maybe answer additional questions if we have additional questions.
Okay, so my presentation here was just telling everyone that what we presented was what we talked about last month, and that's the last I know. So just an update. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you do have any more questions on that, Amy, certainly now is as good a time as any to ask while we're all here.
As far as the budget you presented, I haven't even looked back at it. For me, it's a matter of looking at the whole picture. And once we get all the budgets in place and we can see some final numbers from Orla, that's when I start drilling down and looking at things critically. Last year was a different year. I mean, we knew pretty early on that we weren't going to a vote, and that, you know.
Yeah.
And you always try to keep things relatively flat anyways, and it's probably not going to happen this year. So we're prepared for that. We're prepared to fight for what the town needs. So
we appreciate you too. Okay, next we have the economic development task from POCD. Is there anything else on POCD, Tara, for updating?
Well, it's in a little bit of a holding pattern. I mean, the draft is the draft, and it's not going to really change substantively at this time. It's the formal date that is set for a public hearing and vote to adopt by PZC to meet the statutory requirements is now the 4th of March. Well, you know, because of the way I misread the statute, headed into December, but you know, that's neither here nor there at this point. We've made the correcting action. That did give me time to receive a little bit of extra commentary from PZC members and from the selectmen, and also from town council. Those comments were very, very minor and were, I think, pretty much all incorporated. The draft for public review was published within the statutory requirements for the March 4th hearing. It's up there, and that'll be that. It's really just buttoning it up. So I would say that all of the action items, tasks, goals for EDC, those will remain unchanged. So you can treat those as if they've been adopted.
Okay.
And if you want to look at those, I can go in and pull them up. It'll just take me a minute.
Yeah, and I should have sent this to the group. I've changed the order of things a little bit. Because it comes out that we have 12 action steps, and some will take longer than others, and some we won't even start on yet. The one that I put first was to establish the revolving account for EDC. And we talked about that last month, and that's so we can take income from the pop-up, from the 11th Village, and or else, if any projects generate any money, we have a place to put it. So we have already gotten buy-in and presented that, so I consider that one done.
Yeah, I'll have to double check with Orla. That's supposed to be on tomorrow night's Board of Finance meeting, but it wasn't on their agenda as of when I went in to talk to her about something else this morning. So she asked Dottie to add it. I have not checked to see if Dottie did that and posted it.
Tara,
okay. Yeah, I consider
I had
because we did
request to get a hold of a copy of this final draft, and I still can't find it online. But those 12 action points that Brian just referred to, if you have a copy that we could either send it out to us or that we could take a quick look at. Mostly I'm curious, hate to be too parochial in my viewpoints, but I'm curious about the Trainwreck Park project, which is a major undertaking. And I wanted to, it's not on our agenda tonight, but I do have a question about that for, I don't know if it's...
as far as the
hang with me for a second, Charlie, and I'll bring the action steps up and then we can look at them.
Yeah, as far as the train wreck, that's not a specific, I mean, these action steps are more general as far as building the EDC I mean, you know, part of it is coming up with a 10-year plan for projects. Part of it is promote events such as cycling, where we don't give specific events. So we don't have Trainwreck called out because that's one project.
To answer the general thrust of your question, Charlie, things about Trainwreck Park are all over this document, whether they are specifically within EDC's 10-year task list, you know, as a specific measure or not. They're all over the Trails and Recs section. They're all over a lot of things. It is certainly referenced heavily. Let me just scroll up.
Okay, well, I knew that it was showing up at a lot of places in the document. My concern at this point is that the 12-town task force is finally getting back into gear, and I am concerned about the level of detail that's going into the plan with our help from the UConn students. Specifically, it comes about because of the bridges that we're seeing go into Pomfret. And my belief, and others share this belief, that if we can design the right way to put a bridge in and parking area in that area, we'll have a better project for it. So some time ago, and it must have been the year before last, we did allocate and encumber an amount of money for odds and ends related to the Trainwreck project. I don't know if we've reallocated them to different projects or if there's still some there.
No, we did. What we have in the budget, what we have in the budget for fiscal 2021 related to the Trainwreck Park is specifically set aside to write a grant, to leverage a grant from Connecticut Humanities to start to produce and install the interpretive signs for the Trainwreck Park. And what we're specifically talking about are those windows to the past
Yeah.
that everybody seems to like, right? That $4 grand is specifically to leverage against that grant program.
That's
the
what I
funds from
seem to
the
recall.
the funds from the prior year, we all agreed to encumber to Dave Eddy to have extra money to put towards the 11th Village to get those sheds on the ground. That's where the extra funds are coming from to supplement the $3 grand that was budgeted. That was the balance that we made.
I'm not opposed to any of that. I'm sure I voted that way at the time, but there is a possibility of another $250 to $300 to finish off and update a drawing that Daniel Blanchette has done for us that will include this and put it into the vision, a bridge there. And we've got an area that's about as big as a football field that's not very obvious at first glance, but because it's got some trees that have grown up in it and some piles of fill. But it is up there at the knoll that you get up at the top of that grade where that gate is as you're heading towards the old train station site, and it'll be on your left-hand side. And so I've asked Daniel Blanchette to take a look at it. He'll give us a discount, but he says probably 4 hours, and he estimated that. 250.
Yeah, I'm on that email thread. What I can say relative to the EDC budget is that if it's decided to go forward with that, it's not going to come out of this budget, but we have that special meeting scheduled for the 1st of March, which is scheduled partly because of the way these conversations have mushroomed around some of these initiatives. So if Trails decides they want to put some funds into having Daniel do some more engineering, it's not even really engineering, it's really just drawing, that we can talk about it there. But the EDC budget for Trainwreck Park has been committed in these specific ways right now. Okay.
I have this nagging suspicion that if the longer we wait, the harder it's going to be to catch back up. I feel like we can lose momentum on a few of these things, and then our Yukon team will go ahead with their design, and if it's not in there, it's going to be a lot harder to get it in later. So that's
we'll talk about that on the 1st of March with the Trainwreck Planning Group and Trails. So I think that's a Trainwreck Planning Group call.
Okay.
All right, back to the action steps. Yeah, like I said, the first, I moved the revolving account to number 1. Number 2, I put a welcome package for businesses, which is why I was looking to update the letterhead to match everybody else in the town hall and to get myself back into Thompson, the Thompson email system. So when I contact people, it won't be through AOL. And the third thing, the 11th Village, which right now is on top of your screen, because that's coming up. We want to open May 1st. So tonight we'll be talking about the vendor agreement. So we could start getting people signed up for it. What else? Yeah, you can see we have a series of things, press releases and updates as we go along with projects, and short term, the years 1 to 3, we have the matrix to incentivize potential businesses. We hopefully we'll be able to get something in place, but that's not instant. Yeah, this is stuff that we looked at it hasn't changed that much in the last 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're probably best off, Brian, looking at these top 5 until we have all of them super duper underway and in hand. I mean, this is going to take care of itself very soon. I feel very confident about this. Orla is no big deal to get that revolving account set up. It's just the Board of Finance had to acknowledge it and agree to it, which hopefully will happen tomorrow. You know, this, I think we need to do a lot of talking about the 11th Village. You know, still some of the policies and procedures, although I think Leslie and Renee and I have done a good amount of background work, you know, during office hours. Press releases, I'll tell you, I'm about halfway here. By that, I mean, I've been much better about sending them out. To say that I have a schedule to do so is an overstatement. I am trying to get at least weekly press releases out. There are some weeks I just haven't had anything I found suitable. But I still would like to work on with each of the commissions and committees and boards for whom I would be doing that. Maybe a more organized pattern for that. That'll be so much more helpful if we can find a suitable replacement intern to take some of that off my plate.
Yes.
I don't think it's necessarily the best use of my personal time in the office, but I certainly will do it in absence of an intern. I've got the press list. I've got the, you know, the release template. And I'm comfortable talking to press, which, you know, helps when we get calls back. So, you know, I think these two middle things on this page, the schedule to send out press releases and the schedule for updates to the EDC page. This one, I would say, you know, the updates to the website is the one where of the super short-term initiatives, we're lagging the most. Although I'm doing some basic stuff. I'm cross-posting press releases and trying to update events as we get them. But I think I just need more input on the kinds of changes we want to see following meetings. Like what I think would be ideal is we're in a meeting, maybe we're specifically discussing elements of the website every month, and we're saying, can we do this tomorrow? That comes back to me in the minutes, and then I go ahead and do it because the minutes prompt me. That's, you know, to me, that would be a useful structure. And we haven't quite gotten there yet.
Can I throw in a couple things here?
Yep.
So I do like all these action steps, and some of these comments I'm about to throw out here, I know that they fit into one of these bulleted points here. I think over the years we've talked about a lot of good stuff. I, for one, definitely get scatterbrained on some of the stuff and some of the action steps that we do talk about. But I feel like we need to, and I'm sorry, this is going to come out on the business side of me here, and I'm not so sure that it equates to an economic development commission, but I'm going to say it in this way anyway. Informative marketing. And I'm going to just narrow it right down into that instead of getting scatterbrained. And informative marketing for me is 3 categories: services, property and space availability, and then what is our active things that are going on in town, right? And with all of those 3 things, I would really like to have a conversation with Sullivan and Lashane about putting together some sort of marketing brochure or something that is mass distributed to people, right? And when I mean by informative marketing, you just say, hey, the services that we have in town, I know on our webpage, on the EDC webpage, it lists, you know, some businesses and maybe some salons and some various other things. But again, in a marketing plan, it talks about specific things, right? And then on the second one, the property and space availability is, well, what properties are for sale? that are commercial, what properties are for sale that it could be developed. I think about the building mill site. I know that's a private property, but we could at least post it and have conversations again. I think his name is Adam, that owns that property, and invite him to the table again so we can figure out what to do with that, right? And then the active projects section, it could be the train wreck, it could be the concrete sidewalks, just again, informing people what we're trying to do and getting what I'll classify as press pride, right? But narrowing it down to those three categories, I think it's obtainable for us to be able to do that. But I don't know how we would engage Sullivan and Leshane to kind of group all those things together and put it in a professional marketing brochure of sorts that could be mass distributed to like the last Green Valley, and we could utilize their distribution group and send it out to people to inform what Thompson has to offer. And that could be recreational things as well on that last bullet with active projects, right? Could be just food for thought here, guys. So that's, I just wanted to spill all that out to you guys and see what you had to say about it.
Well, Brian, you and I have talked about some of these things, you know, a few times. I am very much in favor of creating a page, a subpage under EDC, a general page on the town website that links to commercial properties. You know, as Joanne has frequently pointed out, residential properties just move too fast. You wouldn't do that.
Sure.
But to the commercial properties, which do not move as quickly, yes, I think that's a great idea. I think it's unfortunately beyond my personal skill set.
Yeah.
Like to maintain it once it's up, but to create it, I just am not sure that I can do that. I could certainly try. If the question is, can we try to get an estimate from Sullivan and Leshane or Kelsey? Yes, I can do that. I mean, going back to the idea of the coming fiscal year budget, which of course starts on the 1st of July, we have proposed $2,500 set aside for marketing and another $1,000 for printing and publications. We were not particularly specific in what that 25 plus 1, total $3,500 would be applied to. We left the door kind of open. Maybe that is worth it. I'm happy to follow up with either of the two people that we've worked with in that regard, Kelsey or Brian Flaherty, to get a clear-eyed estimate. I also, have some connections to the tourism district. I can tell you that the tourism district's marketing partner would probably be priced out of our range, but he still might give me some advice.
Sure.
We've got a pretty good relationship.
I'm going to be more direct, Tara, in this response. Again, I look at some of the buildings in town. I don't know exactly what's going on with them, like the old Village Hardware, right? Okay, private property, sits there abandoned. I guess I'll pose this question. What are we doing about it, right? What are we doing to help this town? So I say, well, let's come up with a space availability page that says, hey, this is what's available. I don't know what people are doing, right? It's kind of like 65 Main. Well, if we don't do a renovation project there, what is the plan? What are we doing with it, right? St. Joseph's, abandoned, no longer a school. What are we doing about it? There's a lot of buildings like that you can ask that question, and we really don't have an answer. So I'm saying that it belongs in category 2, and that Sullivan and Leshane could help us pretty up and say, hey, this is what's available, and make people be informed about what we have to offer. And I know all these are private properties, but who's to say that we can't talk to these people and see what we can or cannot do to help this downtown area of ours.
Yeah,
But the only thing,
I think it's great, Brian.
If we're talking Sullivan and Lashane and doing brochure type things, all of this stuff is too volatile, I think, to put in brochures.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean that's fine, Brian. That's fine. All I want to do is have a conversation with them about what we can do about it, right? Like what kind of marketing.
It would make,
yeah.
Yeah. It would make sense to use that because we've talked about this a lot. A lot of times it involves, realtors who know what's going on and we don't.
Sure.
But using our website, again, it's better communication, which there's always room for better communication.
Sure. That's exactly my point. I know I'm saying this till, I'm probably aggravating you guys now at this, but I like to talk to Sullivan.
Oh, you're right.
About informative marketing and what that looks like. And there's all kinds of different things that they'll probably show us. And I'd like to start there and see what they could offer.
I have a good reason to get in touch with Brian Flaherty anyway, so I will do that.
Brian Santos, this is Leslie. On the piece where you're talking about, active programs, something that I talked to Tira about recently and that I really want to do in 2021 is have more video and photos of all of our rec programs to put together, video essentially promoting like what you can do in Thompson. Like,
I love it. I love it.
So that piece could essentially be combined with other components, so if there's like you're talking about the active program piece. So it is something that I'm starting to explore and going to be either putting together myself or going to other resources to put together. But, my goal for 2021 is at the end of the year to have essentially a promotional video for the
informative marketing. Yeah, absolutely.
For the programs and events that happen in Thompson.
I love that. Charlie has talked in the past about droning of the rec site, which I've offered my drones to do so. I know there was some permitting, but again, informative marketing. What does that look like? We need a professional to help us put that together. Yeah, because we do have great things.
From we had invited a local who has a drone company, and he came to Community Day last year, and we got these professional photos, and he did a video, of that. And it was like, when you see that video and that professional video, you just sort of, get that sense. And it really, it gave the feeling of the day, of what that day was like and the number of people and what it felt like to be there on that day. So I've been thinking a lot about that and having it be, so that'll be.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair observation about, and don't get me wrong, the Town of Thompson website today compared to the Town of Thompson website 3 years ago is, like leaps and bounds ahead. But I still think it's a transitional step, and I think we all agree on that. And there is absolutely no question that most people respond more to visual prompts than they do to text prompts. So, which is great to understand that, right? Correct. I think we all understand that. But where that leaves us is, who's the skill set? And I can tell you that it's not mine.
No, you have to go out. You have to go out for that stuff.
Yeah, we need it.
Yeah, for the quality and what
you're. So I'll contact Brian Flaherty and Kelsey. I mean, she's still out there. Yeah. She does still work for CHA. And again, they are not cheap. But I'll also talk to my marketing contact for the tourism district. He is a great guy. Their services are very expensive, but they are some of the best. And he can maybe at least give me guidance as to how to frame something, how to write up an invitation for what we want if we decide to bid on it. If it's under a certain amount of money, we don't have to bid, strictly speaking. But if it sounds like it's going to be something that's going to incur any real expense, then we would be obliged to.
Yeah, sure.
So
understood completely.
I would talk to any of those three people and have strong confidence in the intelligence of their responses back to me.
Sure.
Well, I have an observation and question based on something that Brian said. Perhaps when you're talking to the guy at Sullivan Lashane and the other party, you might ask them if it's feasible if we had a platform on our website that the commercial realtors in town have knowledge of it, that they can post these properties. Because Brian's right, you know, it's private property. We can't market it. But if we make it easier for them to reach another coordinated effort to find the market for what they're doing, and we can take their information and enhance it. That's one point. The other point is, in addition to the video photography that Leslie just mentioned, Elliot has done several sites in the town of Thompson that can and should be up on our webpage. They include Bull Hill, they include Long Pond, which are both Wyndham Land Trust properties, but they're outdoor recreation.
Yeah,
and they also include the train wreck video that he did for us. So there's others, but these are things that are available to us, and we're not using them.
Yeah, Charlie, that's on my task list.
I agree, Charlie.
We did share those, you know, videos when they came out, but definitely having them permanently on our website is something that's on my task list. As I was, you know, in the last couple of weeks thinking about this video and thinking, well, we already do have some video footage, and you know, and then, you know, we share it once on our social media and then it goes away, but really it needs to live on our website so it can be continued to be viewed. So
I agree.
Yeah, and they're all on our YouTube page as well. But honestly, nobody goes to the YouTube page, and we really want to be driving people to our central informational hub, which is our actual web page. Right. So those other locations are just backups, or you know, for whatever purpose they serve. And that was a part of Sullivan and Lashane's report back to us was, you know, you want people to go where you want them to go. And that is to your main compendium of information about the town. The website first, probably the Facebook page is a secondary option, although it has a different kind of use. And then those other things are just, you know, catch as catch can extras, the Instagrams, the YouTubes. They have specific kinds of functions, but they're not fundamentally informational. So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've said some of these things before, you know, the page for the commercial properties, and we all agree every time, but the page needs to be created, and that's the hurdle that we've got to cross.
Yeah. Can I say, can I make a request actually? So Tara, after you get done with that icebreaker call,
yeah,
I think I'm going to recommend to this group that we actually have a special meeting with Sullivan Lashane after that call, if they're okay with it, and have a brainstorming session just so they hear. I mean, everyone that's made comments has been really great comments, right, tonight. So I feel like we just need someone to kind of capture all of this and put it into some sort of form that we can organize and then execute, right?
I think, Brian, like, you know, the idea of marketing a town, you know, when we were meeting with Sullivan Lashane and like putting this branding thing together is like relatively like, I mean, I'm not like new, but like, it's just a different way of thinking, you know, it's not something that I think people thought a lot about, like myself included. And even when we started meeting with Sullivan and Lashane, you know, I think about marketing, you know, my programs, my events, but like it is also about marketing the town. That's the product. So I mean, I think that's really that next step in that sure. Piece of it. And so they can help us with that. I don't know any towns that have a marketing director.
Yeah, neither do I, right? Neither do I, Leslie, right? I just get all these things in my mind.
I know
what it should look like, right?
Yeah.
So that's where they come into play to kind of help us with that. So another thing is like, okay, there was Tara put out, I believe it was Tara, that put out a press release on the webpage about the concrete grant, right? Very proud of that, right? So what was the first thing that I did? I gave it to my wife to put it on her Facebook page so people see it. Now, I'm not on Facebook, and I have my reasons why I'm not on Facebook, but I give it to her and she puts it out there. Now, I would love to have some sort of, informative marketing thing that, just lists about a whole bunch of things, and then like call whoever organizes Thompson Proud's Facebook page. Say, hey, can you just post this on your page just to get the word out? And it is everything that we just got done talking about, right? Or call the Last Green Valley, say, hey, are you okay just promoting us and sending this thing out? Of course, after you review it and you're okay with that, to send it out to people, and just get it out there. Now, I agree. Maybe it's a different way of thinking. And I don't know if like Putnam putting out marketing, I'm not like looking for it either. I'm just looking for us to execute something, right? Like I feel like we have a lot of good things that's kind of scattered all about. And I would like to try to organize that into some sort of, I don't know, pamphlet, I guess. I don't know. All right. That's all I got. Thank you very much.
It is definitely getting better, Brian. I mean, those press releases that I have made a point of sending out, they do get some traction. In fact, the last one I sent out, the Villager printed verbatim, because I guess they don't actually have news staff. But yeah, we're above the fold on, I think, the front page of the Villager.
That's great.
For the last, and that's just a press release that I wrote, right? Little local departments, they're not paying staffers. So if we can actually get those things picked up, and we've had a decent number of them picked up by the small locals, Winnie is generally pretty quick and generous with sharing the stuff that we send out. We do get a few regular, more community-based groups that do share, including Thompson Proud and a couple of the other ones. There's one that I think Valia Martino might run. She picks stuff up and cross-posts it almost as soon as I have it online. I see that happen regularly. But that's all word of mouth and grassroots. It's beginning efforts. I'm totally down with the idea of going back to the people we've consulted with previously and saying, hey, how do we push this to a next step using these guidelines you've given us?
Give us something to chew on.
How do we really do it?
Yeah, give us something to chew on, right? That's all I'm looking for, is just get those professionals in a room and see what they have to say, right?
Yeah.
All right. I've derailed the meeting enough, Mr. Yacino. Sorry.
You always have good stuff, Brian. Yeah, I mean, as we're talking, I'm thinking, like I said, it comes down to you can't over communicate. No matter what we do, there's always room for more. And another thing that we have to keep in mind is not just marketing pre-event, but marketing post-event.
Absolutely.
Ball always drops. What a great maker fair. We could have plastered our website with 100 pictures. Not even professional. It cost anything just to say what a great maker fair, what a great community day. It's always something to keep in mind, and maybe when we're putting this together, that can be integrated also. An easy way to do it.
Yeah, that's a good point, Brian. I don't know if we have an option of creating a gallery page in our website, but that would be, people do look at galleries.
Yes.
You're on mute, Leslie.
And it helps promote you for next year.
I can do it through my rec, Tira. So if it's for an event, I can do it through the online registration system, create galleries.
Does it cross-post to the website?
No, but you could put a link in an article on the website to shoot it over to that site.
Yeah.
Click here for great photos of the Thompson Maker Fair, boom, and it's gonna send it over that. Yeah, we can look at that. Yeah. I've never used that feature, but I know it exists.
Well, like I said, that's as soon as you have an event, posting that stuff will start the promotion for the following year. Looks like we had a great time. Can't wait for next year.
Yep.
Okay, where are we now?
I don't know. You tell us, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, all right. Well, let's go on to the vendor agreement for
All
the
right,
11th.
Let me switch over. Talk amongst yourselves. Well, I remember where I put it. Okay, here we go. So this does not represent the changes we talked about via email today. This is just what we had. This is just the last thing I saved in my system.
Okay, yeah, because
So
there's a couple of...
You know what? Let me go back to the one that's in my email because that includes Renee's comments. So go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I have a couple minor things too.
Where to go?
Then we'll talk about rain contingencies and yeah, because I added Renee's comment and then your update to the one I have.
Yeah, okay. So I have the right one. I just need to get back in and share the screen again. Yeah, this is the one that includes Renee's thoughts, but we'll start from the top and then we'll get down there. But this does not include what you and she and I went over today, but I can go back to my email and read that out.
And I can read it. I have it right here.
Okay. Leslie, you want to take this?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Folks can kind of read for themselves. And we just outlined the hours of operation. So we're asking them to be open Saturdays and Sundays from 11 to 4. They do have the option to be open outside of those hours, but those hours won't be, the town won't do any marketing for those hours. So if they want to post on their own Facebook page or they want to take, be open on a Tuesday night or whatever, that's on them to do that. We're structuring it in a 2-week or a 4-week sign up. And then they get a discount sort of if they're doing the 4 weeks. So it's not like double the price. I think it's where we settled was like $250 or $275. I can't remember for the 2 weeks. And then I think $350 or $375 for the 4 weeks.
I think it was $250 and $350, and then in each case there's a $50 deposit returnable at the end if you don't trash the joint.
Yep. And then, we're just informing them that there's no access to Wi-Fi or electricity, that it's the 11th Village intent is for, makers, producers, growers, artists, antique goods. We're not looking at multi-level, no Mary Kay sales or,
Anderson windows,
beach body protein shakes. That's not what what it's intended for. I asked Tara this because I was like, how's it going to work with locks? We're going to give them a key and we're going to have to change out that key. So no, they're responsible for providing their own lock and locking the building at the end of each day. We're letting them know that whatever they leave on site, they're doing so at their own risk. No heaters or generators are permitted.
Hold on, Les.
Yep.
As far as locks, should we stipulate that we get a key in case of some kind of emergency, or I'm just throwing it out there?
If there's an emergency, we've got bolt cutters.
Yeah.
I think that's it. To clarify the locks, we are going to have locks for those. They're going to be combination locks, but once we essentially hand the quote unquote keys over to the vendor has to provide their own locks. So we'll have our own series of combination locks that just go on when they're in our possession, but just like a tenant situation, they'll have their own.
We can make a note in there, and Tira, if you have the document open, and we can make a note in there that, like, you know, if needed, will be, you know, I mean, I think we would contact the person if we needed to get in there, and like, hopefully they can either give us the combo or meet us.
It's just instances where you may not be able to contact them. They may not be,
Yeah.
you know, they could start on fire on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry.
Just
I'm sorry. Tell me what I'm adding here.
I guess that if needed, we will, you know, break their lock in the event of emergency.
Why don't you just require combination locks? Isn't that so much easier? Then they can just give you the combination.
Yeah, we can do that.
You know, if you're so concerned about, you know, trying to get into these places, it would be so much simpler without keys.
Yep,
It's just
absolutely, Joanne. Yep. So we'll say combination lock, and that the combination must be provided to the town. It's simple. Great. Thanks for that solution.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it may not be required. It was just a thought.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
It's a good thought.
It solves it. Yep, that's why we're that's why I like meeting in a group and looking through it, because everybody thinks of something different. We're talking about disposing of trash and debris.
Number 6, Les?
Yep.
Number 6, it's providing, not proving.
Oh, thank you. Disposing of trash and debris at the end of each day, sweeping out at the end of the session. They're acknowledging that Riverside is a smoke-free, drug-free, alcohol-free environment.
Hold on, number 9.
Yep.
And ordinances, it has to do with ammunition, so yeah, you want ordinance.
What'd you say?
I just edited it.
Oh, ordinance. Thanks. And then asking them to report any suspicious activity or damage or stolen items to the town immediately. And then not to alter the building in any way with paint or nails or anything like that. The big question here is about rain policy and how we will work through that rain policy. When do we make the call? Do we issue a refund? Are there makeup days? How does that work?
Yeah, I wouldn't think makeup days would work because we have it rented.
Well, the way it's currently structured, we have patter weeks that are open. There isn't a patter week every month, but there are 2 or 3.
Yeah, I really don't like the idea of makeup days, Tira, because it is inconsistent. So if we only have a few makeup days and we can't provide it to everyone, then I don't want that to be the policy. So I think that we need to not, I agree with Brian, not have makeup days and just either decide if it rains, are we issuing a refund or are we not issuing a refund? If it rains, it rains. Or, you know, if there's more than one rain day, we issue a refund, or, you know, how we make that decision.
And there was one point later down in the highlighted here, something we can probably agree on right away. If we cancel, then, and it's, you know, no fault of the vendor, then we could say they could get their money back because it's kind of not up to them.
Yeah, that's a good note. Only applies if we make the call. That can be clarified. I think you're right.
Because we can't be too wishy-washy, but we want to be fair.
No, yeah, no shows get no refund. That is a plain old fact.
Right. That's something that can be right in writing, and we can all agree on that.
Yeah, and I think I may also try to rewrite this a little bit to clarify that it's only on the mandatory days that we would even offer. In other words, if somebody has told us that they're going to be there the full week, and, you know, as Leslie pointed out earlier, that's great. You can take as many extra days within your 2 weeks as you want. The only days you're responsible for are the 2 Saturday-Sunday combinations. So if you come back and tell me that you got rained out on a Wednesday, I don't care.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that, so I think I agree. I see Renee's comments. I do agree. So If we make the call and somebody gets rained out, then we're saying we're going to refund them that day.
That's good business.
Okay, so I'm going to unhighlight these. And leave Renee's comment highlighted so we know that's the way we're going.
Yeah, I can make that.
So then let's go back to this.
Refund. It's not that hard to do a refund, and we're already doing a refund anyways for their deposit. So we're already going to have to refund every vendor $50 as long as it's cleaned out at the end of their session. So the can you add a note in here?
Any refunds offered returned with deposit.
Yeah. And then also, can you add a note somewhere that maybe next to the cleaning up, I'm responsible for, I agree to leave my permission. Somewhere on here about the deposit. I understand that my deposit is only refunded if I meet the terms of this agreement or somewhere.
Yeah, let's add that under broom clean.
Because I mean, it's not just the cleaning, it's the, it's all of it. You know,
is it sort of like a security deposit?
It is exactly that.
You could start off with for a refund of my deposit. I agree.
Call it a security deposit.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yep, absolutely.
Because you always get your security deposit back, so that's understood. So.
Yep.
Okay, I've got something there good enough to work with.
Yeah, so we're pretty much ready to open registration. Just a little bit more. This has to get put into the online registration and a few more tweaks or little things there. But we'll be ready to go with the April or March 1st. Sorry, April, March 1st deadline. So we're on track to open.
And Leslie, I'm not sure if you saw the back and forth between me and Renee and Brian over item 3.
Nah, I'm off today. Can you tell?
Well, you're here, so I didn't know if you checked.
I didn't open my email today.
That's okay. Renee and Brian both had some reservations about the way we phrased this, which after I went back and read it with their comments, I did agree to. So the thoughts here is that this appears.
I don't know what this is. I don't know what are you pointing at something? Oh,
you're not looking at the screen. Yeah, I'm on number 3. I certify that I do not represent a multi-level marketing company or a sales for commission company. The 11th Village is intended for the sale of products handmade, grown, or produced by the vendor. Sellers of vintage antique goods or cooperative groups of artist growers are allowed. Was the original workaround I think I had suggested. But Renee and Brian both thought that created a lot of, well, why them and not us? So what, and let me stop share here again. Hold on, let me save this.
Do you have it down there, Kira?
I have it, but I've got to switch to a different screen share. So actually, let me do this.
Okay. Because if we have to, I can read it. I have it in front of me.
No, I've got it. I just got to find it. I've got it. Okay, so instead of that language, I suggested this. Share screen. I'll highlight it here so people can see where I am. The 11th Village welcomes startup retail businesses offering a wide range of products, and we especially welcome the sale of products handmade, grown, or produced by the vendor. The following categories are not permitted: multi-level marketing MLM companies, sales for commission or commission by appointment vendors, or vendors of explicit or adult-only products. I certify that my business does not fall into one of these prohibited categories. So that's more specific about the very ones that we will exclude. It gives us more flexibility for who we will include, and starts with welcome.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I didn't know how to tackle that, so yeah, it looks good to me.
Okay, so I'm going to copy this.
You're starting the thing in a positive method with the 11th Village welcomes, as opposed to the other one, you were making the negative part, the first sentence in other words, maybe I'm not having difficulty explaining myself, but never mind.
No, I get you, Joanne, exactly. Nope. It's like on the garden vendor agreement, we said like, children are welcome, and must be supervised, instead of saying children are not, no children allowed in the garden, unless supervised. We're saying, they're welcome.
Correct. Yes.
Reading with the positive.
Must be supervised or on a leash.
No, there's no dogs.
Let's see, and paste. Okay, that's in there, and I'll fix the formatting later. All right.
So we've definitely had some, just to, update this group on the 11th Village. We've definitely had some calls and interest. People who've participated in the Maker Faire or who hadn't and are last year and are participating this year, asking about the registration. Because we did have a press release go out, and we're on Winnie talking about it. So there's definitely folks, conversations happening and people who are excited about it. So we'll see how the turnout is once it opens up.
Yeah, and that's as to the Maker Faire element, we're probably over 40 vendors now.
Wow. Yeah, I think on Friday when I left, it was at 42 or 43.
I had 2 or 3 just today. And those are just people sending pictures, right? Not everybody who signs up sends pictures. So I only know when somebody has signed up if they send me the images as requested. So I had 3 of those today.
Awesome.
That's good news.
What were you
This is open to anyone, right? It's not a town thing or the pop-up.
We did not end up opting for a resident price, as I recall, right? Just the 2 levels, the 250, 350?
No, we did talk about doing $25 more for out of town, just to show, that there was I think that's what we had settled on, or we were going to bring to this group, and saying, so $250 with a $50 deposit, or $275 with a $50 deposit. So not much, but I can't remember where we left that, but that's what I remember, I think.
Yeah, that actually sounds about right.
I think it's
present it the other way. Present the price and then a discount for living in town.
Yep. Yeah.
Rather than a penalty for being outside.
Yep. What was that, Joanne?
I like the idea of giving the Thompson residents a discount, only because it's in our town, so that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's common for the rest of our rec programs. We try to do that, just to show that, it's their town, it's their services, so yeah, they get a discount. Yeah.
And it is true of the Maker Faire.
With this pop-up, we're also hoping that it leads to someone opening a business in town.
Yep.
This is something where they can get their foot in the door. Try it out.
Yes, sir.
Are we good with that? Any more discussion on the?
No, I think we're good. I will send out, I'm going to have Tira do like a test, a mock visitor, and then I'll send an email, or Tira will send an email when registration goes live, but we should be good to be live on Monday, March 1st.
Okay. All right, going to progress reports. As usual, I kept website notes on there in case anybody saw anything that needed, attention. I didn't notice anything this month. Anybody else? We okay with the website?
I think that we've already touched on the fact that we need to polish up our image and availability, but I can't.
This is one that's an ongoing thing, Charlie, in case, like a couple of months ago, we saw that our term, our EDC terms was listed as 5 years instead of 2 years. So it's kind of general. If we see something that could use immediate attention, not like what we're talking about with the marketing. Well, I guess it could include that, but.
I think it's perfectly acceptable and actually probably wise to also think about tweaking the formatting and, not just making edits, but, as we are using it, referring people to it, hearing comments on it, bringing those comments into the monthly updates too. Because it's the format and the field that is ultimately the most important. And nobody really cares that the terms were wrong.
Just trying to say this is more of a general category, not project related, like adding a major piece to the website. It would have its own, it would be its own agenda item.
Okay. Yep. Fair.
That's all. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess. Now it looks, I have some redundancy because we talked about POCD. The wayfinding plan, that was having to do with the draft. And then 65 Main, because we haven't talked since you and Brian presented to the Turtle Lot trustees.
That is true. Brian, you still there, buddy?
I am, yes. Hi.
Why don't you lead? You lead and I'll finish.
Yeah, we presented on 65 Main. I think we shared a lot of great information, not only about the structure itself, about the community at large. For those that were saw the presentation, it's about a mind shift and thinking outside the box with a bunch of things. And I think it was well received. I know that the group has got some questions that Tira has taken the lead on developing some answers to, and I'm updating some stuff on the estimate side of things. And that's kind of where it's at. We got to respond to the questions.
Yeah. So just to clarify that a little bit, immediately following the presentation, Tommy Angelo is the chair on the board of trustees now. Joey Amartino stepped away for some personal reasons, although he's still a trustee. Said that he would go in with the other trustees, compile a list of questions that they specifically wanted answers to following the presentation, and would we compose our answers to those? So I have those. I've had them since early last week, I think. And I have been diligently working on creating a very comprehensive response. It's essentially going to be a full report. I'm nearly done with a first draft, which I will, Brian's seen a little bit of it. We talked about it a little bit, I think, this past Friday, and I've worked on it since. The challenging parts for me are creating some of the projected more granular costs. Of course, one of the reasons that it's so challenging is because we don't actually know what that programming is going to be. What we've proposed is that it's going to come out of a public workshop process. So the final format of curriculum is, fluid, but I think I have enough information to put some good solid hypotheticals together. It turns out, and I didn't even know this until just recently, as you know, I have had a very public life for a really long time, and I have a ton of, Facebook friends, right, whom I kind of know, don't necessarily know very well. I got a guy who I know primarily as a musician and a fan of my old radio show. I knew that he did some stuff in economic development, and I knew that he had consulted on the business incubator that they just opened up in Worcester, or is just about to officially open, I think, the workshop, which is, if you read their promotional materials, the largest business incubator this side of the Mississippi. Whether that's literally true or not, I don't know, but that's what their literature claims. It turns out he actually does that as his main job, is set up incubator spaces, curriculums, work share places. He's also consulted on biodigesters, and like everything that we are actually talking about is a part of his main function as a consultant. So he and I had a 2.5-hour phone conversation on President's Day, which was fantastic. He's going to send me some information about the setup process, how to determine curriculum, what you can expect your consultants to charge for a course, so you can figure out how to pass the costs on to the program members, and how many members you need to make your nut back. So he said he'd send it to me before the end of the week, so I expect it tomorrow or the next day. That will help me create those hypotheticals in a much more comprehensive fashion than I could do on my own. Ryan LaJoy is looking at some of the real estate side at Brian's request, which was, great of him. So we will have very well shaped hypothetical answers to these questions. And it will be as complete as we can possibly make it at this time, including the full description of the program that is proposed, and the background research that I did. So, it's not going to be like a 6th grade book report. This is going to be a document. And hopefully what that will do is clear the obstacles, answer the questions, and, button up as many levels of uncertainty as we can. As I said to Tommy, and as I said to, Rob Werge in a separate conversation, I don't mind questions. I don't mind questions that are honestly posed, because if you're really looking for the answer, then the answer to the honest question makes the whole project more solid. You've already cleared, at least in an intellectual sense, the how, how do you get from A to B? And, that is ultimately helpful, even though it's a lot of work and a lot of typing, and a lot of sort of reworking what we've already done. But it'll be good. It'll be good. I have all the letters of support that people sent in at that Board of Selectmen meeting. Those are a part of the public record. I have documents of the Turtle Lot Trust. I have, what do I have? There was something else I had that I was pleased that I had. Oh, I have, it just flew out of my head again. Whatever it is, I have it. It made me happy that I had it. So, it's, the answers to these questions are as there as they can be.
Thank you.
Well, I guess we've covered that. And that's all I have on the agenda. Do we have comments by commission members?
I have one. I want to restate it because it's item 2 on the 1 to 3 year plan from the POCD. It talked about marketing materials and it mentioned train wreck. And I keep coming back to this in my thinking. I don't want us to hand in a 6th grade book report to the people that make the decisions about funding for these major things. I understand that there's timelines and that monies have been committed, But my point is, I really want EDC and the town of Thompson to put out a real document about this site. I know we're getting help from our contacts at the National Park Service. I know we're getting help from Yukon, but I'm not sure that it's being coordinated in a way that, and I hope that it will be. We'll be talking to the 12-town task force next week. We'll be talking to the train wreck and trails on the 1st of March. And, you know, that's another month is by before I'm feeling like my days are numbered and I don't want to see them wasted.
Well, I don't know if it puts you at ease at all, Charlie, but I did have a touch base call with the NPS partners today, and we have an independent sort of follow-up call roughly every 2 weeks. And one of the things that we did discuss, because it is one of their deliverables to us, is their final Trail Town report. And that will include not just the work of the Yukon students. That will certainly be incorporated into it. It will be a compilation of all of the background work, the surveys that we've taken, the presentation. Oh, that's right. You weren't on that the other day. Some of the presentations that we had last week from Connecticut Deep, showing us what we could and couldn't do there and some options, and then their full analysis of, how do these pieces fit together for use, again, by the town, largely through me in grant writing, to go out and seek the kinds of support that we are talking about needing to finish this work. We are going to start with grassroots efforts, things that can be accomplished with, $4,000 here, $10,000 there, as we are able to budget for it between this and trails and crowdfunding and whatever. That's one level of implementation. But I think everybody agrees that at some point we're going to have to seek a larger funding mechanism. And their report back to me at the end of their assistance period, which will be 2 years by the time it's all wrapped up, that's already on my task list. I know exactly which grant programs I'm going after based on, ones that I know are coming up to enable this kind of creative placemaking in localities. There are some very specific programs that I know I'm going after, and then there will be others that we can use it for down the road as well. So one of the high value products that they're giving back to us is this report. And I am very confident that they're going to do a very thorough job.
Does that help you, Charlie?
Terry, you just mentioned the meeting that I didn't attend, and okay, that's partially my fault because I'm trying to get away from the charter email box. I get hundreds of political announcements and requests for petitions and all that stuff, but I was on my way over to a dentist appointment. I got a phone call from Tom Chase saying, "Hey, I think we need to talk about putting a bridge in at that intersection." And I said, "I agree. I've been lobbying for that for a while." Well, the discussions seem to go past that point. What is it you keep saying? You got to say something 10 times before most people hear it once. Brian Santos made a comment about, can we get commercial realtors involved? We've been talking about this on and off for as long as I've been on this commission. It's a point that keeps stirring around, and then all of a sudden, boom, the cement is set and we can't get back into it. Again, I feel a sense of urgency about it because the timeline is on. And you know what? Most of this crowdfunding and the other things that we can come up with, that's the cherry on the top of the sundae. We have to get into the right supply line, the right methods, and I'm working towards that. I now have a commitment from the East Coast Greenway that does resonate very heavily down in Hartford. So we have some methods and tools coming into our grasp, but if we don't have an awareness of them throughout the entire, this marketing plan, this program, this report that the National Park Service comes up with, that's our marketing plan. And if we don't have all the bells and whistles in there as it's released, we're never going to get them in there. I'm not asking for us to build a palace, but I don't want a tar paper shack. And if we think that this can only be done, this whole project, this whole thing is only going to be done, it's not only going to be done with the town of Thompson resources. We're the bells and whistles on the top of it. So please, I don't know how to say that. I'm getting a little bit wound up about it. I think I'm going to go get myself some adult beverage after this meeting is over and see if I can calm down a little bit. But folks, I don't know how to say it more clearly. I've seen it happen in the past, and I don't want it to happen here.
Agreed.
Okay, any more? Yeah, thank you, Charlie. And any more, any other comments by members? Next meeting?
Brian Santos, you look like you're dying to make a comment.
Oh, who?
Nope, I'm good.
Brian Lafredo, you haven't said anything, and neither has your daughter.
I don't think she's going to say anything except yuck.
There's not a lot to add in without just saying the same thing that's already been said by multiple people, just summarizing things. Brian Santos, I totally agree with some of the things you were talking about. It was one of the reasons I got involved with branding where's my video? There I am. Branding to start with is the empty properties in town and what can we do about it and branding. And then that led me to EDC. So I was really happy you brought up those points today. And I'm still not sure exactly what we could do. I hope as I get more time in my personal life, I can help with whatever direction we want to go with, but I think that's definitely something we should be doing. I'm not going to discuss the train wreck site because we have a meeting set on that and I've made my feeling known, so I'm staying out of that.
Thanks, Brian.
How about you, Joanne?
Nope, I'm good. I interjected when I had to. I'm fine right now. Next meeting, you said, is when? March?
Next meeting is St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, terrific.
March 17th.
Wear your green hat.
Yeah, and Charlie can bring us adult beverages we can virtually share.
It's the one time you're allowed to drink on a Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All righty.
Wait a minute, nobody told me that.
Good meeting, everyone. Oh, yeah, Leslie just popped something into the chat. Next week is town meeting. I'll go one better. It is the public presentation on the sidewalk project followed by the town meeting. If you can all dial into both, that would be great.
Yeah, I saw a notice that Charlene put up on Facebook about the sidewalk meeting.
What's the date, Tara, again?
Wednesday, the 24th. So the public presentation that Steve, Lewis, and Janet Blanchett and I will be facilitating will be from 6 to 7 because the town meeting, I believe, starts at 7. So it'll be a quickie. But we will be sure to leave time for, some Q&A. It's really just to share the progress information, let people know everything we can let them know at this point, so that the public is as informed as they can be.
Wonderful. I'll be there. See you next time.
Yeah.
Move to adjourn.
Good night.
I would adjourn at 7:58.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Goodbye.
All right.